Hello Seawolves and welcome to the Wednesday show, and actually almost the one before last show of 2020. I'm sure that there's many of you who are like quite happy to be rid of 2020. Not the best year for many of us. I really like that joke that they say that 2020 was basically planned and executed by those same people that organized the Fire Festival, that had that nice documentary on Netflix. Personally, I'm a little bit ambiguous about it. It was a good year in some respects. In other respects, of course, certainly less of a comfortable year. But I say let's just enjoy the last day and a half and start today again, or perhaps your afternoon, depending on where you're watching, with a delicious cup of 7-minute long brewed coffee. I'm really enjoying this, the extra strength of the 7-minute brew, by the way. Good tip from your Seawolves who told me about that a while ago. And are we ready for the toast? And shall we say happy birthday? Because actually today on board Banque Populaire, Clarisse Cremer is having her birthday. So to Clarisse for doing amazing. She is currently at number 12 in the race, doing very nicely in the head pack. So respect and happy birthday. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Oh, amazing. Wow, some nice shots. When you see, people like that in situations like that with the waves all alone taking care of that big ass boat, must feel pretty intimidating, right? I mean, I've been in some pretty intense situations, let's say, at sea. Many of you have seen my movie that I started this channel with, Beating into 45 knots, which of course was a pretty intense weather that we got into. But we didn't have those type of really huge ocean waves, of course, and yeah, it's really something, right? Wonder how I would feel if I was in a situation like that. But so much respect, people like Clarisse for staying cool and calm in those type of situations and just being able to batter that for days and days. Just really amazing. So yeah, let's move into some of the news. Or no, actually let's talk about a few things, because some of you of course are new viewers, and I think I need to repeat a few things just so that some of the new viewers also are on the same page. And that is about the show Boats. So first episode coming soon, probably in the first week of next year, so look forward to that. And for those of you who don't know yet, so this is kind of the daily daily news show. So Seawolves Report, let's say. And right now, of course, the Vendee is like the biggest thing happening. So it's the Vendee Globe report every day. But we're also talking about the America's Cup. We're talking about basically all of the world sailing news that I think is really interesting, and that is, let's say, technical or race related in nature. But next to that, I'm also working on this new show called Boats, Boats, Boats. And the idea there is basically that, I sometimes need a day off at some point. And it will be kind of fun actually to turn the channel sort of over to you, the viewers, and give you guys a chance to show your boat. And so that's kind of the concept behind Boats, 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 is that you make a nice tour of your own boat. Doesn't matter if it's a 10 feeder or a 100 feeder. You love your boat, I love my boat, everybody generally loves to, show your baby. So show us your baby and make a nice fun video, maximum 5 minutes. Prefer, I don't really care if you shoot it on your phone or on a camera, if you, do it very professionally or not. That's all fine with me, as long as it's, fun to watch. It's all good, and you can tell the story of the boat. You can not say anything and just show it. You can do a walk around.
On this camera angle, you can see the heart-shaped chine line on this hull, and the keel and skeg combination. This is how we transport the mast and stuff, and how the deck looks like. And there's a few pictures from when we launched the boat.
However you like, if you think you can make it entertaining, great. We transfer it to me and to contact at seawolvestv.com, and then every once in a while I'll throw in a Boats, Boats, Boats episode where 3 of you get to show your boat. So that's kind of the concept behind Boats, Boats, Boats. If you weren't aware of that, that is how that works. And also good news for the next year. So I'm working on visiting several boat building places to look into some really cool technical aspects, kind of things that you might see on some of the fairs over the next year. But many of the fairs, of course, because of all the corona things, haven't happened. So a lot of manufacturers of very, very new, cool, innovative things kind of missing a venue to really show their new stuff, and they can put videos on their own YouTube channels and everything, but that's of course less of a general reach, let's say, than to present it on a fair or go travel the different big technology fairs. So I also think there's some space here on Seawolves to look at and review interesting technical developments. So I'm working on getting some more of that on board, and we'll start also I think in the second week of January with the first show where we're really going to I wouldn't really call it a review, but more of an overview, like a discovery part of the program where we look at new stuff and just look at it and discover how it works. So that's another idea that is coming up, and that's pretty much it. I think that's kind of a good to know. And also for my own boat, the Spirit of Amsterdam, we good for you guys to know. So I'm working on producing a Learn to Sail, Learn to Solo series where I'm going to basically film on my boat while solo sailing and explaining really all of the process, really going into the nitty-gritty, both the mental game and the physical game, how to set your boat up better for solo sailing and all the kind of trickery and maneuvers that all work a little bit differently when you're solo sailing, and kind of how to do all that. So I'm working on that, getting kind of the technology aspect of that pretty much done. but I'm very close to actually starting to tape that. And that will kind of start with actually some technical changes also to my boat, which I was planning to do anyway. And so very likely my boat is going to go into small refit. Will take about a week and a half, maybe two, probably by the end of the first week of January. And of course I'm going to take you all also along, because I'm going to make some choices, amongst which for a new autopilot, for example. And so we're going to dig a little bit into you know, why I make this particular choices and changes to my boat in order to also make it you know, easier and more fun, and hopefully also faster to solo sail her. So those are all kind of cool things to look forward to in 2021. So okay, now that we talked about that, let's get into the sailing news. So Gitana 17, no real updates right now. I just checked the website and they're still saying that at least for the next 96 hours, they are not seeing any weather windows, so we'll have to wait and see what is going to happen there over the next few days. Then let's move on to the Vendee Globe, and kind of interesting things going on there. I'll bring you into the screen here, and yeah, so we can see that yeah, real bit of a jibing battle going on there for everybody to stay as close to the ice line as possible. People really fighting to take the shortest route. Now, of course, you know, much of the race so far has been you know, survival, right? Basically all the way up and through the Southern Ocean, this is a race of survival, and we've seen a lot of damage. We've seen the damage that getting your boat out of shape can do to your ranking. We have several people retired now, but we're getting closer and closer now to the point where like 1/3 of the racetrack still left. And so the moment where the race for the position is really kind of coming on hard is coming closer and closer, because once they're past Cape Horn, make no mistake about it, then it's only a short race for them, right? Then it's a week and a half, something like that, and then they're home. So that's not an awful lot of days left if you compare to all the sailing that they've already done. And you can believe that even though, of course, they're all trying to make their boats go fast, of course, they've all been seriously racing so far, still, the race is very long, and I'm sure that if you ask them percentage-wise, you know, it's like 40% of the race has been racing, and 60 or maybe 65 or maybe even 70% has been keeping the boat in one piece, making sure that you're actually going to make it to the finish, right? But now we're getting to the point where the likelihood that you're going to make it to the finish now, the likelihood that there's still some undiscovered thing wrong with your boat that's going to, you know, unfortunately retire you, that is going to get smaller and smaller fast as the race passes Cape Horn. And so from that moment on, taking risks is going to be rewarded in a much larger way, right? It's going to become more and more interesting, more and more seductive to take some more risks and actually go to try to get that one place higher in the ranking and another place higher in the ranking. So the fact that we see you know, kind of this cluster now all hugging the ice line really close, you know, match races all over the place, just a close battle with basically the first 13 boats or so, all very close together. What we're seeing there is almost, I think, the real start of the race, right? We can kind of compare it to the second start of the race, where so far, if you made it so far, the likelihood that you're going to survive, the likelihood that you're going to finish is getting bigger and bigger every day. But the likelihood of you actually getting the highest position, well, it's going to be more and more worth it to really fight it 100% every day to just get that, you know, one position gain in the ranking. And so I think that's going to be reflected in kind of the aggressiveness of the sailing, and where previously, like we all know that the top speeds of these boats, you know, sometimes can be over 30 knots. They can hit 35 knots sometimes, but we haven't really seen that much at all, right? We haven't seen these boats very often picking up speeds that were, you know, over 22, 23 knots. In the beginning of the race a little bit, but really for the last 2.5 weeks or something, we've seen them do 18, 19, 20 on occasion, but mostly 14, 15, 16, even in winds where technically they may have been able to go a little bit faster, but it would have represented too big of a risk, right? But now, if we look at the speeds that everybody is going at, all of a sudden we're seeing here Charlie Dalin, 22.6 knots and a 4-hour average of 19.5. But also, if we look at the rest of the fleets, not as extreme as with Charlie, but we see 17.6, 4-hour average of 18.8. We see a similar 4-hour average with Damien Seguin, 17.1. And even though that doesn't seem like such a high jump from 13, 14, 15, what we've seen before, suddenly we see a lot of 4-hour averages going 17 knots, 18 knots. We see it with Charlie Dalin, who's probably going to be doing 18 or 19 knots at some point. Right now, Yannick Besthavel also doing 16.2 again. And so I predict that as we get closer to the finish now, we're going to see day by day, that of course if the wind allows, that the averages are going to go up. And by the time we get to the end, so by the time they start to get up the Atlantic again, we're going to see, I think, the real speed of the Imoca, the real speed potential of the Imoca come out much more as the sailors find patches where they say, hey, I'm almost home, the sea is relatively flat here, or the waves are not too big, I have enough wind. Instead of taking that slightly smaller sail, or instead of, you know, putting that extra reef in, I'm going to just let it rip and see what we can do. And so we're kind of getting into a phase in the race that I'm really looking forward to, because now is the time that we're going to see the real potential of the Imoca also unfold in that sense. So that's going to be very cool to see. So let's look at the ranking right now. So we have Yannick, of course, nicely in front, and actually extended his lead again. So yesterday when I was filming, he was at 111 nautical miles ahead of Charlie Dalin, and right now he's at 126. So slight gain again there for Yannick, so well done. And he's in an excellent position, very close to the ice line, good wind. And yeah, should stay in good wind, I think. So that's pretty nice to see. Has a really good line here, as you can see. The prediction, so looks pretty, you know, looks to be on a very good path right now, and in a very good position. So that's nice to see. I also ran his course to predict wind, and actually we see that yeah, they don't need to do a lot of crazy things. The wind is really quite favorable for a more or less very nicely straight line right through at Cape Horn there. So not a lot of worries there as far as the prediction goes right now. So it's really going to be a speed run from now on, and not too much jibing, long straight lines, just pushing and you know, rummaging around with the sheets to press out that last little bit of speed all the time. Very cool to see. Charlie Dalin a little bit higher, but absolutely amazing speed over the last 30 minutes. So that's pretty cool to see, and also very nice averages over the last 4 hours, 19.5 knots. So he is gaining hard on Yannick right now, whose last 4 hours was 10 knots, so he's in a bit of a lighter patch right there, and on slightly less of a favorable angle. Then right behind them we have Thomas Rouillant. Thomas also doing very nice right now, 17.6 knot, and also a very high average, 18.8, so they are really pushing the boats hard now. Damien Seguin, pretty much the same average over the last 4 hours of 17.1, so slightly less than Thomas, but still really fast. Jean Le Cam, 14.6 knots in 5th position. And yeah, it's just amazing, right? That all, like, when we started that race and we came around Cape Finisterre and he kind of came out in 1st position for a while there, I remember that a lot of us were kind of commenting, and I was talking about like, well, let's see how long and soon the foilers are going to take over and he's going to fall back because, you know, he's a non-foiler. Look at where he is now, you know, like over half the race done, going towards, you know, only 1/3 of the race left and still going very, very strong. And we all know by now that if any of these foilers make any mistakes at any time, he's going to be right there, right? Nobody in his right mind thinks that he's going to be falling behind or not going to be dangerous in this race even for a moment. So that's kind of cool to see that Le Ras single-handedly sort of rammed his fist on the table and said, you know, respect the potential of the non-foiling boat. And if there is an advantage to foiling, it really isn't the 1,000-mile advantage that it was made up to be before the race, because literally right now Jean Le Cam is 200 miles behind Yannick. 200 miles, and the rest of them is much closer, and he's ahead of many of the other foilers. So, you know, just so much respect for this guy, and you know, his approach to strategy and sailing, just absolutely amazing what he's doing. Then right behind there we have Benjamin de Tremeux, also very good speeds. They're all kind of averaging 17, 18, 19 knots in the 4-hour averages. Same for Boris, slightly faster even, so doing really well there in 7th position now. Kind of too bad for him because he was of course in 4th, 5th for a while there, so fell back quite a bit. Right behind him Isabelle Joschke on Massif. You know, a lot of you are also commenting on me like, you know, talk more about Isabelle, talk more about Isabelle. She's doing amazing. I'm really not trying to avoid talking about her or anything. It's just that I would say that position 6 to 9 are, you know, journalistically, let's say, less obvious to talk about. You know, I'm not a journalist, right? I'm just some guy who started making videos, remember? And so of course it's easy to talk about the leaders because everybody knows what's going on. It's easy to talk about the people all the way in the back because maybe something went wrong or whatever. But everybody who's kind of, you know, not really in the front, not really in the back, but kind of in the middle, something kind of has to happen there. And the interesting thing about Isabelle is that she's actually just sailed an amazing race.
J'ai changé de ciré, j'ai changé tout mon équipement. Ah ça y est, je crois qu'on est dans les mers du Sud. Je suis dans les 40e.
Nothing really major has broken down. She's been consistently just super fast, very much like Jean Le Cam in many ways, just no technical issues really that we know of, and just amazing sailor, just absolutely lightning fast and consistently been in the head of the group. So just amazing job on her part there. And then behind we have Giancarlo Pedote, and we see that Lewis Burton now finally made some gains and kind of connecting to this front fleet again. So that's kind of nice to see, but you know, still in the back, hasn't really managed to put his earlier position where he was still quite a bit more to the south than the rest of the fleet really to a good advantage. Okay, then let's look at Clarisse Cremer. So the birthday girl right now, very close to the ice line, also nice 4-hour average, and right behind her are Mel Trippon slightly faster again, and yeah, let's zoom in a little bit here, because they are very close now. I think that they're probably almost, let's actually get a readout here. So yeah, they're literally about 30 miles apart. So you know, close enough in the right circumstances to be able to see each other. So that's definitely going to turn into a bit of a duel soon, which is kind of cool to see. But both doing really well, both having great speed and wind direction, as you can see, absolutely very favorable for them. So nice to see that they will continue to follow the rest of the leaders, but not really at a speed where they're gaining much on the leading pack now. The leading pack is equally fast, or in some cases, like Charlie Dalin, quite a bit faster than them, because they have a slightly more favorable course. So not much chance of the three of them getting much closer to the leader group, at least I feel until Cape Horn. I think the distance is going to stay relatively the same. Romain Atanasio behind them, doing pretty good, slightly lower winds for him, and so also slightly lower speed. Then a little bit further to the back we find Pip Hare and her two compatriots, Ellen Rora and Arna Bozeris. All three of them having a nice line right now, so they're kind of going around this system here, which gives them pretty favorable wind conditions. And they're all on pretty much similar, like a 10.5 speed averages. Ellen Rora slightly faster than the other two right now, but he'll have to jibe soon, I guess. And he'll be on the same tack and probably going, you know, equally fast. And they're just doing really well. And it's interesting to see that Arnott and Pip, you know, just in a nice duel, they're very close together. So yeah, we'll see who will win that in the end.
All the excitement of riding in front of that front is gone now. See, the sea's quite flat behind me, and I'm now trying to squeeze my way between the ice limit and a high pressure which is off up to the north. And I've got Callie, l'ami Colleen, and actually Alan, La Fabrique, not that far ahead of me. So what are we going to do? Need a little bit more speed, need a little bit more downwind action. There's only one thing for it. Big Bertha is back. I must admit, I never thought I would be at my furthest point south in the Southern Ocean and flying Big Bertha again, but it's the perfect sail for the conditions. So I gave myself a bit of a workout this morning. I put her up on a jibe into the ice gate, and yeah, I just need to keep an eye on the wind strength, but I think she's going to be up for a good 24 hours. Not without a little bit of anxiety, because the halyard lock, my masthead halyard lock, has been sticking. I did as much as I could to service it. I washed it and it seemed to be fine on the deck, but it's just when you take it down you just never know. So I've got a little bit of anxiety over that, but this is the sail to use. This is the sail to use in this moment, so I've got to use the moment.
And then a little bit more closer here we see right underneath New Zealand now Jeremy Beyou. Also very nice speeds, 21 knots over the last 30 minutes and a 19 knot 4-hour average. Really amazing speeds now. So Jeremy really on a roar, and now very fast getting closer to Pip and the other three there. So we'll see if Jeremy might be able to still kind of catch them somewhere in the Southern Ocean. I think distance-wise, it might still be possible. If the wind stays favorable, I think it's likely that it'll take Jeremy the entire Southern Ocean, likely. But he might be able to actually catch up with all three of them and move to, I guess, position 14, I guess, in that, okay, 15 or 14. That would be pretty impressive if he manages to do that. But possible, I think, if the wind stays like this. And for the rest of the field, pretty much smooth sailing, no major weather problems or challenges right now. So yeah, that's more or less it for the tactical analysis update today. And so this was our almost last coffee of the year. Tomorrow, the last coffee toast of 2020. I'm really looking forward to it. Hope that you're all going to be there as well. And yeah, make sure to give this one a thumbs up and you know, comment below if you have something to add. Oh, by the way, interesting here at the end, I got a few comments lately about the fact that some of you apparently are experiencing that these videos are really being just peppered with ads by YouTube, which is really not my intention at all. As far as I know, there's like an ad at the beginning of the video, and that's pretty much it, because I generally don't enjoy, you know, when there's lots of cuts with lots of ads. But yesterday somebody put my attention on the fact that he was getting 6 or 7 ads throughout, you know, one episode, which would be completely crazy. So I looked into that, and you know, I made sure that all the setup is correct, and that really the only thing that should happen is that there's like an ad in front of the video, unless you're of course a YouTube like paid subscriber or whatever. So yeah, if you see any big differences from that, please also you know, let me know, because I want to make sure that we all have an enjoyable viewer experiences. And I'm not you know, a communist or anything. I think there's also a space for advertisement. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. It's important that entrepreneurs have channels to show people so that people can notice their products, and if it's something for them, that they have a chance to get that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good, positive process. You know, voluntary trade, all good, but we don't want to overdo it. So I hope that that is solved and straightened out now. But if you see something, you know, very different, please let me know, because I wouldn't want anybody to be turned off the channel just because there's like way too many ads on there. So that's kind of important also. Okay, so guys, thank you all for watching. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, the last toast of this year. I hope that you're all going to be there. In the meantime, go to seawolvestv.com for all the other info that you want or need. And we'll see each other with a delicious cup of coffee tomorrow. Ciao.